We've had a conversation about something to do with the commerciality of football, which I thought Eni talked with no commercial sense. And that's my opinion. She probably disagrees.
Eni Aluko, is she a British footballer, is she?
Yeah, she was an England international, as I understand it. I've heard she was quite good, but some of the little clips you see of her online, she don't look very good.
You know, he's got a great record, 19 goals in 40 appearances. You know, do the math on that. It's one goal a game, pretty much.
So she's hit out Ian Wright, who's a ex-footballer and TV
Yeah,
presenter.
Righty, I love Righty. Good geezer, good bloke, one of your own, Righty.
So she's criticising him for taking up a space on the presenting panel as a pundit, right? She's saying that should be a woman.
Ian Wright should be a woman.
She called him and said, you need to pull some strings and get me on there. Come on, like, use your power and get me back on the presenting panel. And he didn't help her. So she's a little bit bitter. Now, apparently a lot of people did help her in the past with her presenting skills and whatnot, and she's just not very good at it.
Just be a bit more consistent, because sometimes it can be amazing techers and the next minute's over the bar. But he's consistent.
I don't think that she's particularly enlightening or illuminating or engaging or charismatic, or sometimes comes across particularly likeable. But that's my view. And some people will have the same view about me.
You know, it's an opinion, isn't it? Which we're all entitled to. By default, if I'm working with the people who are considered the brilliant broadcasters, then if I'm in the same team as them, next to them, then by default, I'm considered also a brilliant broadcaster. So I take everything you're saying, but the reality is I've been good enough for 11 years.
She does make one good point. Fair enough. Maybe there shouldn't be a bloke commentating on women's football. However, if you're going to have it that way, then I don't want women commentating on men's football either. Fair enough.
Oh, Joe, you're laying down a law.
Saucy.
You want the sex divides in punditry? Yeah, I hear you, mate. One of the cultural projects that I did feel like somewhat irked by was the reframing of football. Like where I'd go to read about football, they'd put women's football in there and you'd sort of read Arsenal beat Man U or, you know, Chelsea draw with City or whatever. And you think, I didn't know there was a game on. And it's talking about the women's team. You think, what are you doing this for? And I think, like, in a sense, Shane Gillis has irreversibly lanced that when announcing the name of a friend at an award show and claiming it was a WNBA player and everyone cheering. He went, it's just my friend's wife. It's just my friend's wife. And I knew you wouldn't know that.
Give it up for Brittany, everybody. I'm joking around. That's my friend's wife. I knew none of you knew WNBA players.
I think you've been quite fortuitous. I think because of initiatives like DEI, they've allowed people to be put into positions in the men's game that I don't think they've merited. And now that sort of seeds an attitude that you become a stalwart in the women's game. And I listened to your observations about Ian, and Ian Wright is in the Ian Wright business, has always been. I've known Ian for 25 years, and I have my own views on him. Ian is not in any shape or form obligated to provide any support structure for you or to give you a sense of entitlement. And your position now as a broadcaster will be determined by the value of you. And the fact that people potentially aren't booking you now should give you pause to thought.
In the most general sense, black women have suffered in a general way globally. And you could collapse that into, if you wanted to, at the hands of white men, strong white men. But in that situation, in that particular specific conversation, not a generalised one, and racism is about generalisation, Simon Jordan's talking about meritocracy, and capitalism and media are meritocratic environments. Otherwise, everyone will be on the television all the time, which basically is what's happening right now. Difficult to see someone as lucid and articulate and as strong and persuasive as Simon Jordan with someone like Eni there, who I think on the basis of that obviously edited exchange, don't look like she belongs in the game.
Like, I want to hear Ian Wright breaking down the footy on Match of the Day. I would not want to hear Eni Aluko talking about the men's game. However, if you was watching women's football, she's probably got a better insight because she's played for England and that, and she's, I don't know, got a couple of 100 caps or whatever. So maybe if you're a woman watching women's football, you want to hear her point of view rather than Ian Wright.
I guess the sort of media models now are changing so much that if you wanted to watch women's football and Eni Aluko commentating on everything, you can. Like, she can have a channel now. She don't need to go through the brokerage and gatekeepers of, be it TalkSport, which is owned by News International, which is ultimately a global media conglomerate, which has the intentions that all global conglomerates have, or the BBC, state sanctioned, much more likely to give her a gig.
I think at the end of the day, if somebody has talent and ability and they bring something to the table that's worthy of being listened to as a coach, then they'll find their way. Like, people will listen to it. When that gets trumped by their gender or their color to put them in that spot, it's not genuine anymore. It doesn't make any sense. You're propping something up that nobody really wants, because they're going to keep going to the people that they find as the authority on the sport.
When I started to notice the culture was falling apart in the UK prior to arriving at an absolute position, let alone a Christian one, was when you try to listen to people talking about football, they were talking about politics all of the time.
Yeah.
Like, they're talking about money, they're talking about fan issues, they're talking about activism. And it became difficult to understand why politics was entering every quarter of life. Now, a post-structuralist, say, would go, well, hold on, Poppy Day. That's the argument they always use, like Poppy Day and nationalism, displays of nationalism are political. Having rainbow laces for the LGBTQ plus folks, what's the difference between that and having poppies for the dead soldiers? I suppose a meritocratic argument there will be, well, soldiers have died for what they believe in. But then, well, the counter argument to that is, no, you're not celebrating those dead soldiers, you're celebrating state power. And now someone with some mixed heritage like Joe there, with connections to like colonised nations like Scotland and Ireland, would recognise, oh yeah, like they might tell you that the poppy is celebrating the fallen soldier, in the same way the United States of America is just exquisite at claiming that everything's being done because of the troops, to support the troops. But if you speak to people that spend any time in the military, they know more than any of us how they are exploited and manipulated to serve the interests of all powerful elites. So sport is political, is a way of understanding and framing politics. At its best, sport is merit, sport is chance, luck, glory, grace. It's all in there. That's why sport endures and survives. But when the culture starts to infiltrate sport, I think it shows you a lot about what is beautiful in sport and a lot about what is disgusting in the culture. The culture has taken to always trying to mask a bad objective behind a good one. That's what it's at. We're doing this to help these little orphan lads. And then you find out, those orphan lads are being ferried to Epstein Island. There's always a sting in the tail. There's always bollocks. If it's come out of culture, it's bollocks. You don't need to aggregate power in that kind of way. And whenever you do, it's going to lead to that kind of bollocks. So I would say let sport be sport, and let people who enjoy sport, whether that's at the local level, girls football teams or basketball teams. I've got daughters, I'm invested. But if something's going to be a great big spectacle that's about making money, then don't expect people to spend money on people that are less good at it, because that ain't how sport works. That's just what I think, though. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. Censorship is back, and it's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see. We've got to fight back. Rumble is the only company that stood the test of time, and they deserve our support. On one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship, and now on the other side, they've introduced something that will give us protection from big banks shutting us off. Banks can cancel our accounts, freeze our cards. So that's why we've launched Rumble Wallet, a wallet no one can cancel, and a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like old Russ without any middlemen taking cuts. I don't want no middleman taking a cut of my Rumble wallet. Give us some money. Give us it now. You can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin and Tether Gold in one place. Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars. I like the sound of that. It's a digital currency and it's gold. That's Joe all over. It's not only a wallet to buy and save, it also allows you to support your favourite creators by easily tipping them with a click of a button. There'll be no fees when you tip my channel or others, and we actually receive the tip instantly, unlike other platforms where we have to wait for payouts. Support my show and other creators by clicking the tip button on my Rumble channel. It's wallet.rumble.com. Tip us on there. Even don't tip me. I'm all right, man. But, use it. It's good. Download Rumble Wallet today. Open an account and step away from the big banks for good. Wallet.rumble.com. Wallet.rumble.com. Get out of the system. Get into Rumble Wallet.
Thanks for watching the video. Have a look at this one over here, or join us Monday, Wednesday and Friday on Rumble.